going to wait till a few more minutes till more Matajis come in to introduce her. But now we can introduce her by saying aloud, Haribol, Haribol,
Haribol.
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 Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
a very, very special devotee. So I'm going to hold on to my introduction after Mangalacharan. So is anybody else would like to volunteer to read Mangalacharan today? Anyone wants to volunteer? Shri Gaurangi Mataji, you can. Yes.
I'll try,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Or I don't want to force or put pressure on.
No, I'll try, Mataji. You'll share the screen?
Okay, I'll go ahead. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Everybody, yeah. Can you share? Can you see that? Shigara?
Almost. It's coming up, Mataji.
It's coming up. Okay.
Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanave Devi Dayataye Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vikyana Daine Prabhave Nama Madhurya Ujjvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga. I made a mistake somewhere. Sorry. Shri Varshabhane Devi Dayite Kripabdhe Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Daine Prabhave Nama Madhurya Ujjvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dhvanta Harine Namo Gaur Kishoraya Shakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambodhe Padam Bhujaya Te Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaur Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Vibhave Bhumastvam Nirdhaste Sajjana Priya Vaishnave Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vanchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo 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 mahavadanyaya krishna prem pradayate krishnaya krishna chaitanya namne gauratvise namah panchatatvakam krishnam bhaktarupa swarupakam bhaktavataram bhaktakyam namami bhakta shaktikam he krishna karuna sindhu deenabandhu jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Jayatam Surato Pangur Mama Manda Matergati Matsarvasa Padam Bhojau Radha Madan Mohano Divyayad Vrindaranya Kalpadhruma Danaha Srimad Ratnagara Simhasana Sthav Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshthalibi Sevyamano Smarami श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी वंशीवटा तटस्थिता कर्षण्वेणु स्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथाय श्रियस्तु नः तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. Sorry,
Thank you all
Mataji, for
much.
making mistakes.
No, it was wonderful.
Yes, very nice.
Jai. So thank you all again for coming on this monthly Ladies Sangha meetup. So I just wanted to say that in Bhagavad Gita 2.69, Krishna says that Yanisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. So when I was reading this verse, how Krishna says that what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-realized or the introspective stage. So what is night? So especially we are all Matajis here on this platform. And for us, fear, like most of us have kids. So for us, our fear is the teenage when our kid grows up and comes to the teenage age. So, but Mataji, when she touched that 13 years, since she's not one among us, she joined our Srila Prabhupada's movement. Can you believe that? 13 years young. So that is our mother Rucira. So time doesn't work for her the way it works for all of us here. We are struggling, but she is being blessed. She just came to help each of us here to show her by her personal example. So from that young age of 13, like I shared a lot of pictures on the WhatsApp group, so you all would have seen. She's been such steady, wonderful disciple of Srila Prabhupada, a dear disciple, and
Right.
so many places that we can see her. Like we all like to do this service, that service, but somehow we are limited with our capacities. But Mataji's, there is no boundary for her enthusiasm. Her ruchi, her taste for Krishna consciousness is amazing. And when I saw Mother Ruchira, when I met her, I felt, am I seeing Mother Yashoda in front of me? So much beautiful, so much loving, caring, and everyone in the community, whoever has got a chance to meet her and Prabhu, have felt that they just lose their heart to them. They don't need any introduction. They don't need any interaction more than just a walk or just a smile or a glance that we could get. We just fall in love with them. And they steal our heart, and it feels very, very special. And I had this very tough service. Like we had to dress the deities, the night dressing on Saturdays. And the mornings, Mother Ruchira would do the dressing for Radhe Shyam Sundar in ISKCON of New Raman Reiti, Alachwadam. And she would paint the face, the beautiful lotus feet of Krishna so beautifully. And my service was to wipe them out. And that was the most painful part. When I have to clear, I'm like, Krishna, I feel you would be more happy to go to sleep with those beautiful decorations than me wiping them off. So she just steals our heart at every service that Mataji does, filled with energy. Even before coming to our Sangha here, she and Prabhu was actually singing on the Holy Name week that is happening in Alachua. So constantly taking care of cows, the family, kids, grandkids, serving the temple, everything, singing, giving classes, encouraging the youth, preaching wide, far and wide. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu. We are blessed. We are extremely blessed to have Mataji. And let us again welcome Mataji by saying Hare Krishna, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for agreeing to come and address us. And the floor is yours. And if you can keep your cameras on, Mataji's, that'll be nice for a beautiful interaction. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I don't know where you want to start, but I can start. Well, like you said, that I met the devotees and started going when I was 13. I was almost 14. And my parents didn't know what it was, because in those days, there was a lot of crazy people posing as gurus or whatever. So they were really nervous. But there were some people next door, and it's amazing. They had like do you know what a commune is? Like, it was a group of people living together, right? And they had a health food store, and the devotees would come and get grains and things from them for the temple. So I used to work there on weekends, just free work, just to do something different. And I met the devotees, and then we started going to the temple in St. Louis then. And this was in St. Louis, Missouri. And so we started, and the devotees started coming to my parents' house to wait to get picked up, because they were working jobs instead of distributing books and things at that time. That was 1970, I guess, 70, 71. And so I just kept associating, but of course I was too young to join. I was still in school, and, you know, but I started chanting. And at one point, I guess this was maybe 71, 72, the devotees had to close down the temple for a little while, and they all went to Detroit. So they left me their Tulsi Devi. And so I was putting her outside, and I would go around her and chanting, and my parents thought I had totally gone crazy. They couldn't figure out what I was putting skirts on her. Anyway, they thought I had lost the plot of life. And anyway, then the temple came back, and in between that, I went to New Vrindavan at one point with the devotees. I think one of those pictures was in New Vrindavan when they were doing, I guess this was 72, and they were putting the cornerstones for all the temples that they were going to do. And so I went to that with the devotees, with the St. Louis devotees. But I really wanted to be a devotee. I couldn't get into the schoolwork and all the things that the kids at school were getting into, and it was just so difficult. And so when I turned 16, the temple president said, "Why don't you just get married to a devotee, and then your parents, you know," but at that time you had to get permission to get married so young, right? So then my parents, I guess I kind of harassed them a bit. And so they signed a marriage thing, but it was a devotee. I didn't really know him. And he was just becoming a devotee. Anyway, he left, but I went to England with him, and then he kind of left Krishna consciousness. But I was in England then, and it was actually nice because Srila Prabhupada used to come through Bhaktivedanta Manor and Bury Place, London, regularly, because it was like the hub. When any flights that would go from America or North America to India or to Europe, they would always stop at Heathrow Airport, right? That was like the main airport for Europe. So Srila Prabhupada would stop and come. So we got to see him quite regularly, and it was really nice. I got initiated, I guess it was 74. And Srila Prabhupada was there at the manor, and the devotees came from all over Europe, and got to do different services for him, help clean his room, help for cooking for him. And this was kind of embarrassing, but it's funny. When on our initiation day, because we all had like bits of long cloth, but if any of the Indian devotees that would come to the temple would drop off saris. So right before our initiation, someone had dropped off 2 silk saris. We'd never had silk saris before. So my friend grab them for us to wear on our initiation. So we put these silk saris on. And we're Westerners. We didn't really know how to wear saris very well, right? So we're sitting by the fire sacrifice. Oh, and before that, do any of you know what it means for someone to bloop? Have you ever heard that term?
Yes, Mataji.
So they used to say, oh, they blooped, or that means they've left Krishna consciousness. And it's saying, like when a stone falls into water, it goes bloop. So that was the word that they would say, oh, you've fallen back into the material pool and you've gone bloop. So like the day before, they were saying, oh, someone always bloops after initiation. And so I was thinking, oh no, is it gonna be me? I hope it's not me. I don't want to ever leave. And so we're sitting around the fire, and Srila Prabhupada was sitting up on his Vyasasan, and they called me, and I had this silk sari on, right? And I hadn't thought to pin anything because we didn't know. I don't even know if we had any pins. You only got to have 2 or 3 saris. That was it. That was your full wardrobe, right? And so I got up, they called my name, and I got up, and Srila Prabhupada's Vyasasan had 3 steps going up, and then his Vyasasan was in kind of an alcove. You can see it now, but they've changed it a little bit at Bhaktivedanta Manor if you ever go there. So as I was going up the steps, my pleats were falling out and flowing down the stairs, right? And there were devotees from all over Europe at the temple. It was packed full of people. And I wasn't noticing, I was so nervous. So then I bowed down and Srila Prabhupada picked up my beads. Now my beads, they said you had to have new beads, and we didn't have any way to get new beads. So they said, just restring the ones you have, right? So I took all the beads off the thread, and I didn't have any thread. We didn't have any money, right? So different devotees had different pieces of nylon or whatever. So I was knotting all these beads together, and I strung it. I thought, oh, this is good. So when Srila Prabhupada picked up my beads, they fell apart. One of the knots came out, and he said, your beads have broken. And I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. And I'm sitting there, I'm so nervous already. He said, your beads have broken. I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. He said, that's all right. Then he said, he looked at Radha Gokulananda and he said, your name is Rucira. That's a name for Srimati Radharani. He said, it means very palatable for Krishna.
Oh,
yeah, it was so nice. And so then I'm holding these broken beads, and I paid my obeisances, and I'm getting up to leave, and all my pleats are still down the stairs. So I have to like gather them all up, and I'm holding these broken beads, and I'm thinking, oh no. And I sat down and I was thinking, oh, maybe it is going to be me that bloops, right? I'm young and I'm not really, I said, maybe these are all inauspicious things that have just happened. My beads broke, my saris falling off, So I was sitting there really in anxiety. And Mukunda Maharaj, who at that time was Mukunda, he came over and he said, what's the matter? And I said, I think I'm going to bloop. And he said, why are you thinking that? I said, my beads broke, my sari fell off. It's so not auspicious. And he said, wherever Srila Prabhupada is, that is the most auspicious. So then I felt, okay, so all these things don't matter. I'm okay, right? And so that was very wonderful, that initiation. And I didn't bloop.
yes, Mataji, you are there to save us all from not blooping.
Yes. And anyway, after that, I did a lot of service. We did Sankirtan, book distribution. I got married to my husband. The temple president arranged our marriage, and he's a Sankirtan devotee. So we've moved around quite a bit for him to do Sankirtan. We were in Ireland for a while. We started the temple there in Dublin. That was kind of exciting with another group of devotees. And Srila Prabhupada was coming to the manor. This was the last time he came, and he was very ill. And we knew it might be the last time. So we went from we all put a closed sign on the door, and we all went over to the manor to see Srila Prabhupada that last time and do some service. And I remember one time, because we would like clean up and things when he would go out of the room, they would carry him on a palanquin, and my husband got to carry Srila Prabhupada on the palanquin. And one time, different snippets would come out of his room, like when Bhakti Tirtha Swami came and Srila Prabhupada got up and embraced him and said, "You are very dear to my Guru Maharaj." And, because he'd been preaching over in Russia and the Soviet Union, and that's when it was still under communist rule. So that was so nice. And then this one morning, his servant came out and was telling us that Srila Prabhupada had a dream. And he said the Vishnu Dutas came to get him, and they were all Caucasian. I thought that was so funny. We were all laughing. And anyway, that was such a nice, and once before, this was nice. The temple president was saying he was going to the Kumbh Mela and Srila Prabhupada was going to be there. So he was asking everyone, would you make some sweets? I want to take maybe some rasgullas and nobody. So I said, I'll make rasgullas for Srila Prabhupada. So I made a bunch and we packed them up and he took them with him to India, but he never said anything when he came back. And I thought, I wonder, maybe they didn't get there, or maybe, I couldn't understand. So I never said much. And years later, when those little red Prabhupada Nectar books came out, I was reading one of them, and there was the story that Bhajahari, our temple president, went to Kumbh Mela, and he gave Srila Prabhupada these rasgullas. And he said Srila Prabhupada popped one in his mouth, and he said, even the Queen of England could not have rasgullas made in England brought to the Kumbh Mela so he could eat. And he said, ate another one and then passed them around to everyone. That was so nectar.
Jai.
Yeah, and I think since that time, even since Srila Prabhupada leaving, I think just the fact that we're still serving his mission, that's what makes me inspired to keep going, that I know that he gave so much to bring Krishna consciousness to us and to save us from such horrible lives. I can't imagine what I would have been without, we didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness. In fact, the first time I ever saw, because in Missouri, there was no one of any color. They were all white people, Christian people, and I kept thinking there must be more than this. They couldn't answer questions I was asking. And the first time I saw someone from India was on a National Geographic. And this lady had tattooed the Hare Krishna mantra all over her face in Sanskrit. And I looked at it and it said the Hare Krishna mantra. It said, she has the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, all over. And I thought, that is amazing. That is so cool. I thought that was just incredible, and then meeting the devotees and, they would give me the Happening album, the first album that Srila Prabhupada came out with. I had that and all the books that they had. I think there was Nectar Devotion, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Bhagavad Gita. I think, and then the first 3 Srimad Bhagavatams. And so I had all of those. And Krishna book. I loved Krishna book. It was just so amazing to see, because I always thought God must be a person. You know, there must be something. He couldn't just be a light or something, because I used to pray to God personally, but I didn't know who he was, you know, but I would thank him for giving me a nice day, or, you know, when I was young. So then to see what he actually does and where he lives, and it was just so amazing to me. It was just such a revolutionary part of my life. It was just incredible. So I think that kind of keeps me going always with spiritual life. Just, I want to serve. Prabhupada wrote me a letter actually after my second initiation. And he said that the spirit, you can never repay the spiritual master. But if you try just by serving his movement, you know, then all blessings will be yours. And I thought, that's my goal, is just to serve his movement, you know, whatever service I can do. I've done Gurukula, I've done book distribution, I cook, make feasts and cook I dress the deities. We have cows, so I help milk cows and take care of them. And whatever I can do, my husband's always bringing people over, you know, new people that he meets on campus, and we'll feed them and chant and, you know, do things. Just keeping Srila Prabhupada in the center, because there's no one like him, and he's changed all of our lives. You know, I see so many God brothers and God sisters they're just amazing devotees. They've made so much advancement, and I really would like to I aspire to be like them, you know, and I know the process works because I've seen it change my life. And, you know, so I keep going, and it's blissful as well. So that also, so much nice association, so much nice service. Like even this morning, dressing Radhe Shyam because it's Saturday, and it's just so much nectar. You get so much reciprocation. And Sundays I get to paint Shyam's face with Mother Nitai dressing. That's nectar. You know, if you desire service, Krishna always gives. He reciprocates, you know. Well, actually, Srimati Radharani reciprocates on behalf of Krishna. And Prabhupada said, if you get her attention, she'll say, oh, look, Krishna, here is a nice devotee who's coming to offer you some service. Please accept them. And that's how we can be introduced to Krishna and perfect our life. So anyway, that's kind of an overview. And I don't know if anybody has any questions or.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you.
Yes.
Your sweet moments with Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
It's because we have not seen Srila Prabhupada, we see him through all of you. Krishna. Mataji is on the Zoom platform. Anybody has any questions, or you want to interact with Mataji, asking any questions to her?
Mataji, could you please share any more of your interactions with Srila Prabhupada?
Let me think. Oh, there was one. Like Malati had such close association, but when I was there, there's so many devotees. So, you know, but one time I used to always clean his rooms at the manor, and I would also make the Charnamrita every day. So when Srila Prabhupada came, then the older ladies took over my service in the in the Prabhupada's rooms. They wanted the nectar there. And so then I thought, well, they must be going to take the Charnamrita service as well. So I didn't make the Charnamrita that first day. And then Srila Prabhupada, he would go on his morning walk. Then he would come back just in time for the greeting of the deities. And then he would greet the deities, and then he would turn around and get the Charnamrita, right? And then he would stand there for a while, and then he would go back to the Vyasa-san to give class. So this day there was no Charanamrita, and I'm feeling so bad. So I thought, okay, tomorrow it's gonna be there no matter what. So I made up the Charanamrita and I put it where it went, and I was watching. And when Srila Prabhupada came back and he greeted the deities, then he turned around, and for some strange reason, nobody was there. They were all busy looking at other things. So I kind of ran up and served Charanamrita to him and washed his hand, and that was like so nectar. But I didn't get any real close association, just because, you know, I'm kind of more of a behind the scenes kind of devotee, and just, you know, serve, and, you know, I didn't do anything special to get special, you know.
Mataji, that says a lot and speaks of volumes, because many of us kind of hanker for that personal association, but it's not that matters. So it truly tells that your mood of surrender does not depend on that personal service or something that you got with Srila Prabhupada.
No, not at all. And I feel like that even now with all the devotees in our movement. You know, they have their personal relationships with their gurus, but also with Srila Prabhupada. He's there for everyone. We had a really horrible thing that at the manor, the guru that was there, he left, and he took some of his disciples with him, and there was so much confusion with the other devotees that were there. Should I leave with him? Should I stay? And quite a few of them, Prabhupada came to them separately in dreams and told them, you stay and I will give you protection. You know, and it was different devotees telling me that at different times, you know. So, you know, he came to all of them and said, just stay and I will give you protection. You're under my protection. So I feel like Srila Prabhupada is there for all of us, you know, whether we have personal, there's some devotees that never had any personal association whatsoever, but they were serving in Prabhupada's movement. They got initiated by Srila Prabhupada, because he used to initiate sometimes by letter, or, you know, and then you would sit in a fire sacrifice. But as long as we're all serving Srila Prabhupada's mission of ISKCON and our gurus, we are connected to Srila Prabhupada, no doubt whatsoever. And he was so powerful that he can embrace everyone, you know, and give his mercy to everyone. I have no doubts. I actually had a couple times that Srila Prabhupada came to me in a dreams. And one time was I have 5 children, and one of them had a car accident. He got hit by a car and he was almost dying. You know, he was 3.5 years old. And so he was in the ICU, you know, this was in South Africa. And so I stayed in the hospital, like constantly sitting next to his bed, just chanting, and he was in a coma. And they kept saying they didn't think he would survive. And it was very painful. I mean, you can imagine being mothers, what it would be like. So, you know, I was having such a hard time. I also had a new baby of 5 months old at the time also. So I had this new baby and I had him in the accident. It was, my baby was having to stay in the nursery part, and I would just keep going to feed him, and it was tough. Anyway, so it was very tough getting all my 16 rounds done all the time. And I was chanting as much as I could, and I would be chanting to him, you know, singing and stuff so that he could hear the mantra. Because it was funny, we were just on the part of the Bhagavatam about Daksha having his head cut off in the sacrifice. And Srila Prabhupada was talking about how the intelligence is not in the brain. The intelligence is seated in the heart. So that's why when Daksha got the head of a goat, he still had the same intelligence. He didn't have a goat's intelligence, if you understand what I'm saying. So I was thinking, okay, so he's still hearing, because even though his brain has been damaged, he's still hearing from his heart, right? And so we were chanting. Anyway, so this went on, and he was in hospital for a few weeks. And then they said to me, okay, if you can get a certain amount of liquid into his body, then we can let you take him home. Because I wanted to take him home so, we could play tapes for him. And so I forget how many liters, but he couldn't suck. He could only swallow because he was still unconscious. So I had to give it to him in a syringe and just squirt a little bit in his mouth. So that was like a full day's project practically to get enough liquid. And I would make sometimes khichdi, a real runny khichdi, and blend it up and then give him that. I remember the first time I gave him that, his face kind of lit up, that he recognized something that I was giving him. And anyway, we took him home, and I was struggling to get 16 rounds done. I was not getting 16 rounds done most of the time. And it kept going on, baby, Madhu. And then it was getting a little bit easier because he then kind of woke up from his coma, but he was kind of half in a coma, so to speak. But then he could start sucking a bit, and anyway, it started getting easier. So Srila Prabhupada came to me in a dream, and we were in an auditorium. We were walking down a hallway to an auditorium, and I knew Srila Prabhupada was going to be watching a drama the devotees were going to put on a stage in this hall. And so I was walking kind of behind Srila Prabhupada. He had a lot of sannyasis and all. And I was looking around him, trying to figure out where I could sit, if there was an open space that I could sit and I could watch Srila Prabhupada's face and the drama at the same time. So I was looking, and then Srila Prabhupada stopped, and I thought, oh, I'll just go around, all the sannyasis and all, and I saw a place. And when I started walking, Srila Prabhupada put his hand up to stop. And so I looked around, who's he talking to? But there was no one else there. And he wouldn't stop me from going. Maybe he's talking to one of the sannyasis. So I started again and again. He said, stop. And again, 3 times. And then he said, if you do not chant your 16 rounds, you will become very hard-hearted. And he said that to me 3 times. If you do not chant 16 rounds a day, you will become very hard-hearted. So when I woke up, I knew that Srila Prabhupada had come to me to get me out of that. I felt like he understood that it was an impossible situation before. But now if I really struggled a little harder, I could do it, So after that, I just got back into my 16 rounds a day without fail. And, so that was really nice. And another time, we were going to a farm community of devotees, but it was kind of set up a little differently. And they were trying to do a varnashram. So I was thinking, is this good? Should we really be doing this? Should we just stay in an ISKCON farm and do that? Or is this like too out there? Is this really serving Srila Prabhupada? So he came to me in a dream when I was really wondering about this. And I was sewing in the sewing room, because I used to do sewing for the deities, and we would have these marathons like right before a festival where you'd be up like late at night sewing all day, sewing all night, just sewing. And so he came into the sewing room in my dream, and I was like in a panic sewing. And he said, Rucira, could you sew this bead bag for me? And I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. he said, then he sat down and he showed me exactly what he wanted done to alter it a little bit. I said, okay, Srila Prabhupada. So I put away the deity's clothes, even though it was like the next day we were on super duper marathon. And I took Srila Prabhupada's bead bag and I fixed it. And then the dream quit, and I thought, when I woke up, I was thinking, what does that mean? What does that mean? It must have something to do. And the more I meditated on it, I felt like Srila Prabhupada was saying sometimes, okay, the marathon of sewing was there, but sometimes if the spiritual master wants something else, that's of the most important. If he asks you to do something else. So I felt like this varnashram at this farm was important. We got cows, we were milking cows, we had our house was the temple, and I felt like Prabhupada was saying, no, this is what I want you to do now. This is important. So, I felt like that was a blessing, that what we were doing was okay. That's what he wanted us to be doing at the time. And I had one other, but I never quite understood really. I kind of got hints of what it was. And that was one time I had this dream. This was also when I was in South Africa. And at the time I was doing Gurukula with a friend of mine. We were taking care of the kids and teaching. And I had a boys ashram, little boys that I was taking care of. And the situation was, we walked into Giriraj Swami was there and in my dream. And we walked into this, it looked like somebody's basement or something. It was like this huge room and it had a washing machine there and it had a huge piano there. And there was a murti of Srila Prabhupada sitting on this piano, right? And it was a mess everywhere, like clothes and all kinds of books and boxes and junk. And it was kind of like, sometimes some temples have like a junk place where everyone throws their, maybe not anymore, but used to be like that. Anyway, it looked like that. It looked like a bomb had gone off and everything was just everywhere. And we're all looking around going, oh, what's going on here? Why is Srila Prabhupada's murti there? What are we going to do about this? And then Srila Prabhupada talked to us. He said, it was like he was there. And he said, I can't even concentrate. Everything is in such a mess. And I was thinking, oh, yes, Srila Prabhupada. And Giriraj Swami said, Srila Prabhupada, we just came here. We don't know what this is, what's going on here. But he said, can you all clean this up, please? And make it peaceful so that our movement can keep going on, so that I can be peaceful. And so we said, okay, Srila Prabhupada will straight away. And then he gave a few other instructions. He told Giriraj Maharaj to take some peacock feathers for Bhavananda, who was gone at that time. And I felt like that was like to bring him back again, and then another devotee, Shamlal, he told him, I forget what it was, to do something. And he said, oh, okay, Srila Prabhupada, I'll do that right after I go see Mr. Patel, because he was doing life membership all the time. and so we all just started picking up and cleaning up. So when I woke up, I was thinking, what meaning did that have? But I kind of felt like, because at that time, our movement was kind of going through a lot of difficulties, like growing pains, because it was not too long after Srila Prabhupada had left us. And we were all kind of young and trying our best. And I felt like he was just asking us to stay here and make sure it kept going and clean up things that were going wrong. Just try to help be an inspiration for others and show by your example what Srila Prabhupada had taught us, so that, we could actually clean up all the messes and have it smooth anyway, that was nice also. It was kind of bewildering. And for years I kept thinking, does he want me to do something in the Gurukula? Because I was working in the Gurukula, but it didn't seem like it. But after a while, I just thought, no, it was in our whole movement. You know, we went back to England then, and it was just helping younger devotees who were struggling with just the transition of what was going on, to help them to be steady, to keep steady and get their own strength in their Krishna consciousness. But anyway, that was what I felt I got from that dream. And so I always feel Prabhupada is there even still, you know, he's there to lead us all, you know, and when we need his help, he's there to give us that strength and that instructions to carry on.
True, Mataji, so true. Just when you were sharing this dream, it makes so much sense because especially in the Western world, not so much in India, but I see that when they take up the Krishna consciousness in their youth, so they have no role models to look forward. How will their life trajectory be being a devotee?
Yeah.
Everybody knows their parents who go to a college, make a degree, earn their living, have a life, but they don't know what it means to be a devotee.
No.
Yes. So you all being there, it means so much to all of us that
Yes.
want to be as we grow up. So
Thank you.
Prabhupada's motion. Jai.
Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you so much. My name is Nayan Sundari Devidasi.
Hare
Mataji, Mataji, I had a question. I see you are so cheerful even now. I just wanted to ask you, in times of difficulty, I'm sure in such a 4 or 5 decades Krishna conscious career that you have had, there must have been certain situations when you had some obstacles, you know, in material or spiritual life. What is that one instruction or one mantra or one quote that you remind yourself at those times to continue with the enthusiasm that you have going on still?
I feel like it's that Krishna is in control and I have no control. And I just need to know that he is making the best thing for me, you know, whatever that situation is. And really, I've noticed over my life, the bad situations are the ones that I make most spiritual advancement, because then I'm really taking shelter. Please, Krishna, you know, help me to understand and let me take shelter. Srila Prabhupada one time gave an instance of himself. This is about taking shelter and surrendering to Krishna. And he said, it's just like I used to go on the train with my father. And he said, sometimes the train conductor would come. He said, one time he looked at me and he said, I was just a small boy. And he said, where's your ticket? And he said it so sternly, but he said, I was holding on to my father's hand and I knew my father had the ticket, so I had no worry. And that's for us also. You know, things happen, but we know Krishna is looking after us. We don't have to worry. Even it seems so bad. I mean, look at the Pandavas, what they had to go through. You know, so many bad, but Krishna had his plan, and because they were his devotees. So I think it's the same for us. I always think somehow Krishna has a plan, and this is for my welfare. You know, maybe it's digging out some false ego that I've got sitting there. I've got tons of it, so it takes a lot to get it out. Or, you know, so many different things, but he always has our welfare at heart. And we have to understand that. And then it makes it much easier to go through those things. You say, okay, Krishna, somehow you have some plan. And whatever it is, I'm here to do whatever it is you want me to do.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you.
Yeah, it makes it much easier because life is full of bad things, you know, but for a devotee also to understand that, you know, we might get a little thing. Like one time Srila Prabhupada said, we might prick our finger, but really our karma should have been to lose our whole hand. You know, so what we're getting is just such a small token of what really we deserve. You know, so, and Krishna's using that for our benefit, you know, so that we can get rid of, we carry so much yuck in our heart. We've been doing this for so many lifetimes, just so many bad, sinful things, or, you know, so there's so much to be cleaned. So all of these things are just helping us to clean that heart. He uses the little bits of karma that we have just to help us make advancement so we can get out of here. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hi, Krishna.
My name is Radeshwari Gopika Devidasi. Dandavat Mataji. Mataji, in those days, like now we have so much technology and so many stores, so many Indian stores, so many things we can find. But those days, you don't know about Indian cooking. Like it is completely the cultural, like you have to change your culture. Like your parents are not devotees, so you don't know anything how to cook or what ingredients to use, what is Ekadashi or how to wear a sari. So much cultural difference. How did you adapt? Like anybody guided you or you learned by own? Because those days no internet, you cannot search in the Google, or you cannot, nowadays you have YouTube or so many things. You can learn Maha Mantra, or you can learn how to wear a sari, or so many things. But those days no technology, and you don't, so many, like very few devotees those days, not much community wise also. So who, like what makes you motivated to go through all these years, Mataji?
Just
You
a
know,
word. Sorry, Mataji. Just wanted to say a word. Radheshwari Mataji is an expert cook. She just bakes like thousands of cakes, and she's just there in the kitchen serving their lordships, and her expertise is that zone. So when she's asking this question, I can really feel her heart in there.
but cakes aren't necessarily Indian, are they?
That's how she went above and beyond to learn the other side and to do it.
Exactly. And that's what we did. That's exactly what we did. Srila Prabhupada was giving us something different, and we were open to that. You know, I had tried to become a vegetarian before. My parents were freaking out. I wouldn't eat anything they were cooking. I was just eating rice and a few vegetables, and they were going, "You're going to die. What are you going to eat?" You know. And after I joined, then I started learning to cook. Prabhupada taught everyone everything. He taught the first devotee ladies how to put on a sari. He had to teach us everything. We didn't know how to do anything. So it was quite amazing. 1 second. Did you milk?
Yeah, we milked, not that.
Oh, you milked already?
I
Okay.
left the gate was open.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Because I'm supposed to milk after. So Srila Prabhupada taught us everything culturally. And then he had us come to India to learn the culture, to see how it was, you know, how it is. And really just chanting. Also, Indian cooking was so, for some reason, I felt it was so easy to pick up. It was so natural to do. Like now I cook big feasts for 1,000 devotees, or, you know, I help cook, and we do all kinds of Indian things like Srila Prabhupada's Vyas Puja. It's all Bengali dishes, or, you know, I've had Gujarati ladies teach me different things, you know, how to make dokla, how to make, just along the way, just learning from other devotees and from other people. And Krishna sends what you need. Doesn't he say that? He preserves what you have, and he gives you what you lack. So I think he's just made, and the transition was just, we wanted to please Srila Prabhupada. So whatever he asked of us, we did it. And if it was cooking this way, we did that. If it was wearing certain clothing, we did that. Whatever Srila Prabhupada wanted, we did it. And it was just for his pleasure, you know, and it was helping him. Like he would say, thank you all for helping me serve my Guru Maharaj. You know, it was predicted that the holy names of the Lord would go all over the world. And you see how much Srila Prabhupada did. I remember him saying in one of the, I don't know if it was the Nectar books or one of the, I can't remember, someone's remembrance or something about Srila Prabhupada was with his godbrothers and they had read where this holy name would be spread to every town and village. And so he said after the class, they were all discussing, how could this happen? You know, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has already sent a couple sannyasis to the West and they couldn't do anything and they've come back. How could it be possible? And you can imagine, yeah, how could it be possible? But then Srila Prabhupada said, he was walking down the stairs and he was still talking to someone. He said, it is possible, it will happen, you know, and he knew it was him that was going to be taking this to, you know, and the story of how at 70 years of age, he leaves his homeland to go to somewhere he knows nothing about and sticks it out. I mean, really, in New York City, in the middle of the winter with snow and ice. And he said he woke up and he looked out his window and he thought someone had whitewashed the wall outside and it was all snow. You know, like we go somewhere and we have other devotees to greet us and, you know, he had nothing. He was staying in a YMCA for a while. I just can't even imagine the sacrifice. So, you know, for us to do whatever we can do to help him serve his Guru Maharaj, to spread this movement, we were all willing to do. And it didn't seem like pain. It was more like pleasure, you know, like to give up eating the way you were eating, to give up wearing the clothes you were wearing, to give up thinking the way you were thinking, or it was more of a pleasure because you were serving Srila Prabhupada and you knew you were helping him in his mission. You know, so all those things became just really easy and wonderful.
And Mataji, one more thing. First time when you visited India, how did you feel? Like India is completely different from like US. So how did you feel like visiting a dham? What is your first feelings? Can you?
Actually, I had to wait for 13 years being a devotee before I got to go to India, because I was always a behind the scenes person and all the big distributors and big people got to go to India. So then one year I finally got to go. My husband said, okay, we're going to go this year. And so we went, and I tell you, I felt like we went to Vrindavan. We landed at nighttime in Delhi, and then we got a taxi straight to Vrindavan. And all the smells and everything, I felt like I'd been there before. It was quite an amazing thing. And even Vrindavan, I kept saying to my husband, I feel like I've been here before. This feels so natural. It wasn't like something foreign. I didn't feel like it was really like when I went to Russia, I felt like this is so strange. I couldn't figure out. But going there, it just felt like I'd been there before, that, you know, I knew it. And it felt very natural. And so many devotees felt the same way. It wasn't like, you know, who knows what we'd done before, right? And somehow got these births to help Srila Prabhupada, you know. I don't know. Anyway, I felt very natural there. It was very easy to even, funny enough, in England, because I lived there for many years, and all the devotees that were there from India, there are a lot of Gujarati devotees there, and they'd go, "You're like an Indian Mataji. You're just like an Indian Mataji," And I thought it was funny, but it could be from another life because it just felt so natural, Yeah. I think India is wonderful. Now it's become a little more degraded, but then I think that was about 35 years ago, the first time I went. And it was so wonderful. There were cows everywhere, and you could go around Govardhan, no cars, no, hardly any, just rickshaws or tungas or bicycles, It was just so wonderful, and all the holy places, and such an incredible experience. I actually was so happy that I waited that long to get to go, because it had more of an impact, because I knew more Krishna consciously. I wasn't new. I knew how to behave, and who Rupa Goswami is. And so when you went to his samadhi, it was like, oh, you could understand, this is amazing, right? But anyway, that's how I felt going there. It was just a very natural place.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you. I'm sorry if we are taking your time. Is there?
No, it's okay. He just said he milked the cow for me, so I'm happy.
You're thankful to Adikarta Prabhu too. Mataji, is anybody else has anything to?
Hey, Mataji, is there time for one more question? Can I ask?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you so much for giving us your association, Mother Rucira. My name is Anand Kishori Devi Dasi, and I actually have a question regarding, given your years and years of experience of book distribution, and also, inspiring so many new devotees over the years. What in your experience has been, what is the secret behind inspiring? What attracts new devotees to Krishna consciousness, and what is the way that we can continue keeping them in Krishna consciousness? What is the one thing that we can keep them bound in? Because we see that there are so many new devotees who get attracted to the movement, but then after a certain while, they somehow lose connection, and get busy with different things. So what is the one way that we can try and get them engaged and get them more and more interested in exploring more? And how is that way, especially Western devotees, especially since we come from a very Indian background? It's very difficult to actually do what Prabhupada did. But what, in your experience, how can we take baby steps towards that? And so Prabhupada.
Sorry to interrupt your question too. And she and her husband both are doctors by profession, and they are having a nice bhakti vriksha. They are preaching vigorously, they are cultivating, and they are struggling, and they are not giving up.
Good.
And her brother is in Gainesville. Can you tell? I forgot his initiated name.
Yes, my brother lives at
Shruti Sagara.
No, he actually lives with Shruti Sagar Prabhu. His name is Ananta Vallabh.
Okay.
So,
Yes, because my husband distributes books on campus and preaches to people and gets devotees to come to the Gainesville Center. And they come out here sometimes and have bhajans or things at our house. My husband's the real preacher. I'm more of the house lady. But I've noticed it's harder now. It's easier right now because things have become so disorientating for so many people that they don't feel secure. Like before it was like, oh, we're enjoying life and, oh, we'll try this. Oh, but we want to go back. And now they're kind of like shooken up a bit out of their, and my husband was saying on campus, people are more than ever coming to him and asking for books and wanting to talk to him about Krishna consciousness. And so giving your association is the most important. And even if they go away, keep in contact every now and again, maybe call them or send them a piece of prasadam in the mail or something, just that personal kindness really attracts people's hearts, and Bhakti Vriksha is really a wonderful way of keeping in contact. And, because Westerners, I think they're so used to, especially in America, enjoying life. That's what, if it's not really enjoyable, but right now is such a good opportunity because they don't know what's going to happen. They're in lockdown, they're feeling kind of struggle, and that's a good time for preaching to people, But I think your association, there's a group of boys in Georgia, Atlanta, that just came. And my husband's friends with them. They go out and distribute those whole packages of 7 books or 9 books. So he would, yeah. And they have like 80 or 90 people coming for their Sunday feast. And it's just 3 or 4 brahmacharis. And there's all kinds of, there's African Americans, there's Americans, there's Indian, there's all kinds of people coming. And it's quite amazing. And they go out in their dhotis and things, and people are looking for something different, for some sanity. It's a good time for preaching. Just keep going and pray to Krishna. Give me the intelligence. Lord Chaitanya, please, you can make a dumb man speak poetry. You can make a blind man see. You can make a lame man climb a mountain. So if you could just empower me to help spread this movement for you, and he is only too happy to empower you. But it's wonderful that you're preaching, really wonderful. And when you can do it as husband and wife, it's really nice.
Mother Rucira, just a follow-up question. I'm just like you. I'm not a preacher at all. I just, my husband does the preaching, and I just, try to be there and try to support him. But what are the things that you have done in order to have that personal touch with different devotees?
I tell you how I touch them more than anything is prasadam. Really. We used to have a Bhagavad Gita class in Gainesville. This was many years ago. And it was on a Tuesday night. And I would cook a big meal and we'd take it there and we'd serve. It was different from what it is now. And we would get like 20 or 30 people, and they would come every week for the prasadam. And I had so many people say, I'm only coming to eat, but they became devotees after. So it's our powerful tool. And I think I even make cookies for him to take out on campus with him. And he gives people cookies, and they really love it. It's like, wow. Or I'll make, if it's cool, during cool weather, I'll make laddu. And they're going, what is this? It's just amazing. And people are attracted through their tongue. It's the secret weapon, and it changes their hearts, and then they can read the books and they can understand. So I think for me, that's always been my thing, is to make sure they have good prasadam, so that they're attracted to Krishna consciousness. And you see Srila Prabhupada named Gulab Jamans the ISKCON bullet. And he would always have prasadam by his desk to give to new people coming in, because that's an attraction for especially Western people, their tongue, but anybody really, You know, if they can eat something nice, they'll go far to go get it. So if you make prasadam and make sure everyone gets prasadam, you know, my husband loves taking cookies out because it's something they can relate to, but it tastes much better than anything they can buy. And it's got the secret ingredient of Krishna tasting it, right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your
Uh-huh.
for the ideas. I think we'll have to be more innovative with the you know virtual and things like that. But
Yeah.
we're definitely
Yes.
yes. Thank you so much, Mother Rucira.
Yeah. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Any other Matajis have any questions?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I don't have any question. My name is
Hare
Priya
Krishna.
Madhavi. Priya Madhavi Devi Dasi.
Nice.
I really liked your class today, Mataji. You was full of energy.
And before she continues, I want to also tell who she is. She's our garland maker. She's the garland in charge, and she is full of energy too.
No, Mataji. No, Mataji. I really admire the way you're talking, that your bhakti, your belief, that the belief is like a first step for everything, Mataji. That I wish I will have that the belief, that bhakti until my end of my life. Thank you, Mataji.
Oh, you will, definitely. Especially if you're making Krishna's garlands. Definitely.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Krishna.
She admires, she sees our Alachua deities, and she's like, how are they making such garlands and all the colors?
I know, Mataji, the colors, how they are matching with the dress and colors.
But you know what happens is, like, on Saturdays I dress Radhe Shyam, and on Wednesday I dress Krishna and Balaram. So they have a list of what outfits, and we get a certain amount of chrysanthemums, right? And then we go out and spend our own money to get the other flowers.
Oh.
And there's a few different places, like Trader Joe's sells, you know, 18 roses for $9, or, you know, so we know all the places to get extra flowers, and we know what colors, so we go out and get, that's how we do it. And everyone does. Some devotees don't make when they dress, but someone else does, and they do the same thing. They go and look, what is the outfit going to be, and they buy their own flowers. And sometimes there's different devotees that'll sponsor extra flowers for the garlands, like for Sundays, and yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Yes,
we are
yes.
a very new temple, so we're just trying our best. Maybe in the future we can do that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
It's ecstatic, because then you can make extra garlands for different things. And we have one devotee, she gets flowers sent up from Miami, you know, so she gets all these exotic flowers to put all around Krishna, and it's pretty amazing. And we grow like tube roses and things we grow, so we can add those to the garlands. And yeah, it's nice. And gardenia season, it's all gardenias. Their garlands are just made of gardenias. It's nice.
Yes, Mataji, I miss.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
They just steal our heart, the dressing.
Yes, they do.
Do we have time for one more question, or are we already late, Mataji?
Yes, you could ask Mataji. Could you be a little louder? We can't hear you. Tejas Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I'm Divya.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, Divya Brajapriya, yes. She is also a preacher, tremendous preacher, very strong.
I will just continue with my question. I'm so sorry for the breach of etiquette, but I will. I am Mataji, but I'm so sorry, Himanga Gopi Mataji, but I don't deserve any thing in this audience. Now, Mataji, Rucira Mataji, thank you so much. Actually, I was just thinking of one thing when Mataji was telling you got introduced at 13 years. I'm sorry, Mataji, I'm just rocking my child.
No, it's okay.
He's a little cranky. I was thinking, like, sometimes I envy mothers, who got really married early and who have children, very early, because the age gap between the child and the mother is so less, and they are more like
Yeah.
friends. So like that, it's very fortunate whenever I hear some devotee came to Krishna consciousness in their teenage, I feel so enlivened, because I know that they will be with me for more time than someone else who got introduced, who are already
Late.
in their 70s now. I mean, it just gives me a sense of selfish joy. So we are very grateful to you, Mataji. So
Oh, thank you.
the benefit is ours. So is ours. So thank you so much, Mataji. I just had one question, because I was thinking, if you could just mention to us, Mataji, how what do you think was, because when you were mentioning about the beads, that you couldn't even get beads, you had to restring your beads. So I mean, I was just thinking how much I have, that is I'm taking for granted. So what are some things, Mataji, that you think was so difficult at that time, but now it's like in today's ISKCON world is very cheaply available and not taken proper regard for? If any.
Okay, any kind of saris or underskirts or cholis or clothing. So, because to begin with, we would buy a bunch of yards, like 9 yards of cloth, and that's what we would wear for a sari, right? So it was just this plain yellow or plain pink or plain saffron cloth. So that's quite amazing. I remember having my first sari, and the girls in the ashram took it away because they wanted that sari. But we also having temples that you can go to. There weren't temples everywhere. There were just a few. So you couldn't go anywhere and visit a temple. It was just, Indian, vegetables and things. When we moved to North Carolina, they didn't even know what a cauliflower was. It was like, what? What is that you're buying? I said, it's a cauliflower. What do you do with it? It was like, people didn't know, so that's quite amazing. Now you can get anything, association with devotees. The way we associated with Prabhupada was, if he wasn't there, it was by letter. And if a letter came to your temple for anybody, you read it out loud to everybody wanted to hear, right? So there was no like phone call. You didn't have a phone. You didn't have a computer. It was just, by hearing, they would send tapes. This was funny. For Mangal Artik, this was, I guess, in 70 or 71. I went and spent the night at the temple. And Mangal Artik was, they would have a cassette tape of Srila Prabhupada singing Samsara Dava, and everybody would sing along and clap. Deity clothes, deity paraphernalia. There was hardly anything. So you made do with different things, because nobody knew anyway. I mean, now we actually have it so easy, because even now people accept going out. People thought we were so strange, wearing saris, tilak and dhotis, and they would look at you like, what are these people? What are they doing? Are they in a cult? Something weird. Now you're accepted. Everybody knows something about Hare Krishna. Practically everyone, whether they like you or not, they still know something, right? But like I said before I became a devotee, I didn't know anything about what is a Hare Krishna. What does that mean? So now it's kind of like most people know, or at least they've heard of Krishna or Hare Krishna. So there's a lot, and there's so many books to distribute now. Before it was just a couple there, but now there's so many, and you can see what someone would be attracted to and give them that book and keep pulling them along. It's nice. And so much preaching through like internet, or, gathering people together through, like what you did for this, you know, you make a poster and please get on Zoom, and you know, you can get people from all over the place to do that. So it's quite amazing. It's so much opportunity for preaching and sharing Krishna consciousness.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I was just meditating on how grateful we should be, and we need the mercy of all of you Vaishnavas so that we can engage all of this in the correct consciousness. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you all because you keep us going. It's
And
reciprocal.
once again, Himanga Gopi Mataji, I felt like I was being very rude, Mataji. I'm so sorry, Mataji.
No, you're too humble.
She was good the way she did that.
Mataji, is there any way that we can see the daily darshan from Alachua?
Yes, there's it's called, I think, Alachua Temple Live.
Yes.
And you can Google that, and then you can get darshan every day.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Uh-huh. It's on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So much, Mataji. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Rucira Mataji ki jai.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Aribol Mataji, you are looking like exactly like Yashoda Maya.
Even more when I'm carrying the milk buckets. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank
Please
you.
give me all your blessings so I can.
Oh my God.
No, Mataji, you have to bless us so that we can continue our devotional service, Mataji. You have to bless us, Mataji.
Always, always. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you for giving this opportunity.